She didn't even try to hide it anymore. That was the strangest part. No elaborate lies, no fake emergencies, no pretending it was just work. She stood in the doorway that evening, fixing her hair, checking her phone, and said casually, "I'm heading out on a date. Don't wait up." Not with friends. Not to clear her head. A date. My stomach dropped, but my face stayed still. Years of swallowing discomfort had trained me well. I nodded once, like she'd told me she was going to the grocery store. She paused, clearly expecting anger, questions, maybe begging. When none came, she frowned. "You're not going to say anything?" I shrugged. "Be safe." She rolled her eyes, grabbed her purse, and walked out without looking back. The door clicked shut, and the house fell silent. I stood there for a long time, staring at the empty hallway, replaying everything that had led to this moment. The late nights, the constant criticism, the way she spoke to me like I was an inconvenience instead of a husband. Somewhere along the line, I had stopped being a partner and become background noise. That night, something inside me finally went quiet. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I didn't text her or check her location. I went to the bedroom, opened the closet, and pulled out a suitcase I hadn't used in years. I had been planning this longer than she knew. Months earlier, after realizing how little I mattered in my own marriage, I had quietly prepared an exit. Not dramatic, not vengeful, just practical. I'd renewed my passport, moved money into a separate account, kept copies of documents at my office, looked at job opportunities overseas, half as a fantasy, half as a lifeline. That night, it stopped being a fantasy. I packed slowly. Clothes, essentials, nothing sentimental. I left the wedding photos where they were. They didn't feel like mine anymore. I wrote no note. There was nothing left to explain. Before leaving, I walked through the house one last time. The living room where we used to watch movies. The kitchen where conversations had slowly died. The bedroom that had felt cold for years. Then I locked the door and drove to the airport. At 2:47 a.m., I boarded a flight out of the country. I didn't block her number. I didn't need to. She didn't notice I was gone until the next morning. Her first text came at 9:12 a.m. "Where are you?" I didn't answer. Then, "This isn't funny." Then, "We need to talk." By the time my plane landed, there were missed calls, voice messages, and a growing edge of panic in her words. Somewhere between her second coffee and her third unanswered call, she realized something was different. I wasn't chasing anymore. I landed in a country where no one knew our story, where my name wasn't tied to disappointment or compromise. The air felt lighter, even though I was exhausted and numb. I found a small apartment, took a temporary contract, built a routine from scratch. Every day felt strange, but also calm in a way I hadn't experienced in years. Her messages shifted over time. At first, anger, accusations, blame, then confusion. "How could you just leave?" Then bargaining. "We can fix this." Then guilt. "I didn't think you'd actually go." That message almost made me laugh. She had walked out on our marriage emotionally for years. I had simply matched her energy, quietly, completely, and finally. I never replied. Silence wasn't revenge. It was closure. Weeks later, a mutual friend reached out, told me she was telling people I had abandoned her, that she was blindsided, heartbroken, that she didn't understand how I could disappear without warning. I understood perfectly. She thought I was permanent, unmovable, safe to neglect. She was wrong. Living abroad forced me to rediscover myself. I learned how much space I'd been shrinking into, how often I'd apologized just to keep peace, how much strength I'd mistaken for patience. Some nights were lonely. Healing isn't linear. But even the loneliness felt honest. It wasn't the quiet despair of being unwanted. It was the quiet of rebuilding. Months later, she sent one final message. "I never thought you'd leave me." I stared at the screen for a long time before typing a response I never sent. "You left first, just not physically." I deleted the message and turned my phone off. Leaving the country didn't erase the betrayal, but it gave me distance. From her voice, her control, her version of events. It gave me room to breathe, to remember who I was before I started begging for basic respect. She went on dates. I went on with my life. And that, more than anything, was the ending she never expected.